To the Eagles faithful, this is nothing. Those of you who've been down since day one, been down. But for some of those amongst even our fan base, especially those outsiders, and this long schnoz having dude being a Chiefs faithful and just an extra hater, we have something to prove. Or I should say Jalen does or did. He went out there and got the ring, got the dream. So that should be the end of the discussion, but there's still people that are out there. They're still gonna have these little caveats that they wouldn't have for other quarterbacks. But anyways, let's get into it and see what Nick's and see what Nick has to say. Quick.
A woman walks up to me and says, I need to ask you one question. Why do you talk so bad about Jalen Hurts? I was like, well, I don't think I talk bad. And she was not budging a bit. It's like, no, you do. And I was like, well, let me tell you the good things I've said about him. I actually referenced the college thing. That's not what I'm worried. And once this goes on for 5, 6, 7 minutes, I have a little moment of clarity. I say, ma'am, can I ask you one question real quick? She said, yeah. I said, are you Jalen Hurts' mother? She said, yes, I am. And it went on for another 15 minutes where I think very cordial but intense mother defending her child against someone who she thinks has been unfair to him. And she ended it with this. She said, I just want to know what you're going to say when he wins tomorrow. And because I'm me, I'm like, well, if he wins. And then she says, no, when he wins. Yeah. And I said, well, I've got to see how he plays. But I promise I'll be fair. So, to Mrs. Hurts and to anyone else, he was
searching for it.
Phenomenal. The Chiefs did do the thing that I think anyone who was confident the Chiefs would win thought, stop Saquon and you win. That's the one thing they did effectively game plan-wise. And it didn't work because Jalen made every play that was asked of him. It's the second Super Bowl he's played in, great in both. It's the 4th conference championship game or Super Bowl he's played in. He's been great in 3 of them, and the one he wasn't great, he didn't have to be. It was the game Purdy got knocked out of, and that game was basically over immediately.
Pause. Hold on. I'm not going to let him slide on that one. Yeah, man. Obviously, Jalen Hurts' mom's going to, feel some type of way about him talking about her baby like that. But he's saying that he's always, he's lauded him going back to his college days. That's a fact. We went back there and you stayed there because he never was good enough. You never looked at his performance in totality. You just compared them to another quarterback when not only did he do enough to win, like he was not a demerit. He didn't, it wasn't that he was doing enough not to lose the game. You're treating this man like he's Trent Dilfer. I mean, put some respect on my man's name. He's up here needing, game-winning drives, clutch plays, pinpoint throws, hanging in the pocket, taking sacks when he has to, and being able to still, stay alive. Like, give his team a chance at the end. Never having them out of a game. That's Jalen Hurts. And you are just dumping on this man. When the game totally doesn't call for it, like in the Packers game, in the Rams game. The Packers game, we didn't, we stuck to our game plan, and it worked. Why go outside of that? Like Shannon Sharp, as much as I get on him as well, he said something on Nightcap and, reviewing the Super Bowl game. The other team has to force you out of doing what you do well, to force you to, to play outside of your game plan, to force you to win the way they want you to. Otherwise, why would you go away from something that's working? That doesn't make any sense. Any sense at all. And Nick, he's like, I want you to win this way. What do we get, style points for that? Do we get a certain medal or, there's a lot, free airline mileage? At this point, what are we arguing? It flummoxes me, and him saying that he's always been fair to Jalen. No. You discount his rushing yards Yes, I get it. The tush push is not glamorous. And, it is pilfering TDs from, a worthy running back, in this case, Saquon Barkley. But you negate the fact that not every team can run it. Because guess who tried to do that? The Buffalo Bills, and they found out quickly that they couldn't. The Chiefs shut the ass down. And the Chiefs had no answers for us. Matter of fact, your boy was on the sideline getting some Cleveland quarterbacks. Give him some massages on the sideline. You know what I'm saying? Because we fucked his neck up. We did that on our signature play. The brotherly shove. I don't care if you call it the brotherly shove. You know what it is. It is what it is. Close to automatic, as automatic can be, for a play in the NFL. But, besides the point. That's besides the point. Like, he will just not relent on that. Like he's a quarterback that makes it work. Like other quarterbacks, they tried and attempted. Like the Giants had people getting hurt, personnel getting hurt, and they want to use that as a reason to try and maybe have grounds to shut it down. But no, that's on you. You're not teaching the play right. You're not executing the play right. We have the personnel to do it, and our quarterback makes it possible as well, being like one of the leaders on our team for squat, ability, squat ability, which is just insane coming from the guy who's supposed to be one of the weaker guys on the roster comparatively speaking. But yeah, man, it's Jalen. This isn't gonna stop. He's always gonna have something to prove, and it's gonna be more comments such as this and backhanded compliments. So let's continue on.
And so he is as impressive as a leader as just about anyone in the sport, and the team he leads just had, in my opinion, a top 5 all-time Super Bowl performance by a team as far as what they did on both sides of the ball. So we were debating this last week. To me, this is what I will say about Jalen. Because I do value the winning, I do value the toughness, and I do value the big game stuff. I don't view it as a big 4 quarterbacks in the league. I think it's now 5. I think he is. I think it is unfair to say that Joe or Lamar or Josh are just definitively, clearly in a different class than Jalen. I think he's got to be in that class. No, at the bottom of the class, sure, but in that top 5. And so that's what I would say.
That's saying a lot. Wow. Well, look, I've said for a long time now, and I think all of us have, that Jalen Hurts is a winner.
Exactly.
All right? But that's always been based on his leadership, his demeanor, his professionalism, the way he carries himself, his intangibles. But now he actually has that tangible reward that says, yes, he is indeed a winner. And you mentioned that you showed some graphics with his Super Bowl performances. And I compared him to, well, I didn't want to get to it this quickly, but here you go. You talked about Russ. You like the Russ comparison I made last week, Nick. I compared him to Bradshaw. And I like the Bradshaw comparison too. And I know Bradshaw won 4. But Bradshaw his regular seasons weren't all, like he made the Pro Bowl only 3 times. He often, several years, had more interceptions than touchdowns. I get it was a different era. But he was always at his best in the Super Bowl and made the big plays when they need him. Look at his passer rating. Again, different era, so the passer ratings were lower back then. But still, he jumps from a 71 passer rating in his regular season career to 112 in the Super Bowls, which is one of the best ever. And look at Hurts. He does the same type of thing. You mentioned the conference championships. Now we have the 2 Super Bowls. This guy, going along with the winner label, is at his best when he needs to be. And he's proven that to us this year, even against Washington in the conference, championship game. Played well. Against Pittsburgh, after A.J. Brown and others questioned his passing, played well. This game, the Chiefs, you're right, they shut down Saquon. Saquon averaged like 2 yards a carry. But Jalen did what people didn't think he could do, which was kill him with his arm and his legs. And so, those passer ratings, that doesn't even account for his 4 running touchdowns in 2 Super Bowls. So I agree he's a winner. And I do think it's still a big 4. And I think Jalen, I think that fifth spot is always in flux. It could be Jaden, it could be Jalen, but he's got the Super Bowl, so if you want to put him in.
Okay, Paul, I got to stop it right there because there's so many things that he just said that I got to refute. It being a big four. I mean, besides Patty Mahomes, who else has out accomplished him? And they're going to include another guy in a second, and we'll let that get to itself when it does. But yeah, only Patty and Jalen have the rings. Matthew Stafford came in, and that's the other guy that just couldn't resist spoiling it. But yeah, like he's got the jewelry, but we know that's not enough to quell because they're still putting him outside the club. When I mean, I'm not saying he even deserves to be in his own category. Just put him in the group. Like, just because he wins differently from them, winning is still, like Jalen says it's the main thing is the main thing. And that's all he cares about. Like you compared him to Terry Bradshaw, which I think is a very poor comparison because even given the era, his stats, like regular season, are just like, they're so-so. But hey, when he made it to the dance, he made it count. So it's not like, only given this last season, the stats were so-so, but he had a fantastic run game. And I know that, I don't know what Terry Bradshaw had. I don't know who was carrying the ball for him. What was it called? Franco Harrison. He had a decent run game, so that might have been the case for him as well. But, like, you are just, like I said, Jalen is not part of the, pretty quarterback club. And Lamar fits that because he's also a little bit different because he scrambles, but he's turned into quite a passer. Although he does have his caveats and just taking it'd be a waste to not take advantage of his physical abilities. But Jalen being included there, it feels like a slap in the face. And we'll put him along there because he's proven himself now, like for now, because I feel like you're just never going to give him the credit unless he wins the way you want him to, which is putting up numbers. And like I said, Jalen doesn't care about that. He says, just because we haven't done it doesn't mean we can't do it. Just because we don't win the way you like it we don't care. All I care about is the accessories, the jewelry. We'll win every which way we have to, want to. But the reason Jalen has a ring and the reason Lamar hasn't progressed further is because it's almost like he's listening to the naysayers and listening to the people say, you can't do it like this. Oh, I gotta go prove you wrong. Why are you falling into that trap, bro? Every time you see the Ravens in the playoffs, they're trying to play like not themselves. They're trying to play like someone else. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Why don't you play into your strengths? It's like almost top down because the coordinator calls game like that. I think in the Ravens game against, was it the Bills? They didn't really have any design run plays for Lamar. I'm like, for Lamar, the most explosive quarterback in the game, and you don't dial those plays? Like, it's insane to me that they do that. And, Jalen, like I said before in the last clip, it was almost like you guys gave him the best present that you could have taken away Saquon so that he could just prove he could prove himself. He had to pass the ball, so he was killing two birds with one stone. Like, it's insane that you thought that he couldn't do it when he proved it in 2022 a whole season. In 2023, like, to start out, before it had a precipitous slide. He was an MVP candidate. People so often forget that. Want to cherry pick, the stats, the facts. What are we looking at here, man? Like I said, they just don't want to give the guy credit unless he follows the rote script that they devised up. But yeah, like Jalen says, he doesn't care about that, man. Like Nick Sirianni says, if we could win, passing it 50 times and run it one, cool. Run it 49 times and pass it one, cool. Amorphous is the goal. And, even, Kellen Moore, people were so readily, ready to discard him, saying that he can't do this. I think he came out and proved that, he could be that coordinator. and now on his way to most likely being a head coach. But I'm forgetting some stuff out there. But let's continue.
Reason to me, there was a clear fifth, and it was Stafford.
Yeah.
And so it's not fair for Stafford's big argument is the only active guy to win the Super Bowl other than Mahomes. Well, Jalen beat Stafford this year, and Stafford turned the ball over, and now Jalen beat Mahomes and won the Super Bowl. So, like, to me, maybe it's harder for you because you didn't have Stafford fifth.
Right.
But you know what I mean? I can't – if I had Stafford fifth and now Jalen's done this and you assume Jalen's, on the upward trajectory and Stafford's holding on because of age, to me that's a fair spot that can be his.
He simply proved that the moment is never too big for him. Like, we always talk about the it factor, and I know fans always are probably asking, well, what is it? It's whatever it needs to be. And that's Jalen Hurts. Like, all season long, I question whether or not he can consistently throw the ball and be the driving force. He wasn't asked to be the driving force. This game, you alluded to it, we knew what the Chiefs were going to take away. They were going to eliminate and try their best, which they did successfully, take away Saquon Barkley. That then only leaves who? Jalen Hurts in their passing game. We knew going into this game, you got to throw the ball. You got to be accurate. You better be efficient the way that you've been with throwing 17 to 23 times a game, whatever the numbers were, in the biggest and brightest of times and moments. And he did that. Like, not only is the moment not too big, he never allows his disposition to shift. Right. And that to me speaks even more volumes when you're in a game like this and you're either down or you're up big and you're constantly telling your guys, no. Yep. We saw Saquon when they didn't get the penalty. A.J. Brown got the pass interference. They felt the type of way. And Saquon's like, he's on the sideline, like, no, guys, leave it alone. Let it be. Right. That's the type of leadership Jalen Hurts has always showcased. And when you're in games like this, your poise, your ability to be calm despite what's going on, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, like, that permeates throughout your sideline. And that's what happens with this young man. Like, he's just proven, if you need me, whatever you need me to be, I got
Pause. That's what you're lauding him for now. When, articles came out during, the slippage that, trying to kick somebody with it down, that, he was too distant because of that same personality. He's never changed, what you just said. But he was lambasted for it because, it's seen as him being cold and him being, removed. When he's the steady leader, he's always stoic. Like, you don't ask him to be something that he's not. He's not going to be the jovial, rah-rah guy. He does what he needs to do. And, saying that he's having fights on the sidelines with his... No, he's not. He's not. They trust him. Like, those guys are thicker than thieves, brothers. Go back to, when AJ got drafted a year before Hurts. Right there, side by side, in different programs. Ole Miss and Alabama. Or it might have been OU at that time. But, it's crazy. Of course, yeah, I'm expecting to know a lot of these finer details and do the research and all that stuff. But, it's wild that, Jalen is out here having to combat these narratives. Like, you don't see this with anybody else. Even, other quarterbacks calling the question, what is up with this? Like, why does he get so much hate, man? Like, Patrick's like, I really don't get it, man. The guy's just a proven winner. And then another falsehood that he tried to slide in there. Like, Jalen Hurts has never been asked to be the driving force. Bro, you realize without him, there is no way that Saquon is touching 2,000 yards. Along to go with that offensive line, sure. They've got, him running into the middle, the second level of the defense without being touched. But the threat of him running holds that defense. The threat of, the triple option, the RPOs. He's the straw that stirs the drink there in Philly. Like, Saquon would be the first to tell you that. Like, the fact that you geniuses want to ignore that blatant fact is just asinine, man. Like, Jalen makes the offense go, because the opposing unit is scared of that, that duality that he brings. That's why they got burned, because they simplistically focusing on shutting Saquon. Fine, he did that. We still have Devontae. We still have Goddard. We still have Smitty, John Dotson.
They were going
to Grant Secretary, he didn't get the ball. Johnny Wilson. Paris Campbell, he didn't get the ball. Blazing Gunner was a fullback, but he didn't get the ball. Definitely would, if we would have had our linebacker in there who doubles as a fullback, he probably would have got the ball. Runs a 4.45. I mean, so that's just, this year. Wait till he gets in another year with Dotson. Johnny Wilson gets another year in the system. Drafts probably another receiver, another tight end. So hopefully he can do a threat. Things are just getting started, man. Yeah, we have to start off with the O coordinator, but there's so much potential there to be had, and we're not gonna let you get off with saying that Jalen just arrived. You've been ignoring this. This guy the whole time. You've been ignoring his intangibles, and now that he's got what you call the tangible, the ring, you want to crown him.
It's whatever it needs to be.
A fair spot that can be his.
But anyways, we're gonna get back on that note. But I know the truth of the matter is that you're not even watching them, but it's all good because I love making these videos and I love talking about the freaking stinking Philadelphia Eagles. We'll be back with another clip tomorrow, but hey, as always, it's fly Eagles fly, and let's motherfucking go. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Check me out at Cintron, Cintron Anime, Cintron Life, or Cintron Laughs, or other social media.